Hello YouTube, welcome to my latest Doomsday Prepper video. The title of this video is Why Even Preppers Will Be Effed Up in Any Worst Case Scenario Apocalypse. I earnestly hope there will never be an apocalypse. I've been a prepper for over 6 years and looking at things, I don't like my chances one way or the other in a worst case scenario disaster. I'll explain here why even preppers will be effed up in any worst case scenario, any apocalypse disaster. So say the shit has hit the fan. Do you bug in, do you bug out? The eternal question, bug in or bug out? Well, let's look at bugging in. Most Americans live in a urban or suburban environment. Now your chances there are not very good. If word ever gets out that you have food and supplies and things that people would need, they'll never let you alone until they get those things. They can drive their car into the side of your house. They can set your house on fire. They can do any number of things to get access to your supplies and food. It'd be very difficult to avoid being detected as well. They could smell the food cooking when you cook food. They can see the trash you leave out. Empty food cans, empty soup cans, empty ramen packages, empty rice bags, things like that. If you clear those things out of your place, and you're going to at some point, they'll see that there and know somebody has some store of food there, and quite a lot of it. It'd be very difficult to handle things at that point, because like I said, they will never leave you alone until they succeed in getting that food from you. Now the survivors of the disaster will mainly be found in the rural and wilderness environments. Imagine, I live in the Denver metro area, and there's about 2.5 million people in the Denver metro area. Suppose they wake up one morning and all the stores are empty and there's no food anywhere to be had. There's a Bible verse that comes to mind. It comes from when the Babylonians were surrounding Jerusalem and laying siege to Jerusalem. The Jews inside said, "The city is the pot and we're the meat." And that's a apt description of a situation there. The city is the pot and we're the meat. Once they find out you have food and supplies, mainly food, which would be what they would look for the most, you'll never be left alone until they get their hands on those supplies, likely killing you in the process. Your chances of survival are just about nil if the neighbors ever find out you have food. They'll never leave you be. Your chances at survival where there are no people are much greater. So let's look at bugging out. We're not going to bug in then, let's bug out. Well, if you're not in a bug out vehicle, you're exposed to attack. Someone can shoot you through the head in your sleep just for your bag. Gray man or not, you'll be a target if you have a bag. It's not the fatigues that are going to make you a target, it's the bag. Gray man philosophy seems nonsensical to me. It basically says if you look weak and vulnerable, you're safer than if you look powerful and formidable. If you're not military, if you're not strong, if you're not tactical, if you're basically weak and vulnerable, somehow you're safer, which doesn't make much sense to me. It's the bag that's going to make you a target, not the fatigues you're wearing. So say you're in a bug out vehicle. Well, at a certain point, there'll be crashes on the freeway, on the highways. There'll be stalled cars run out of gas, and the cars that have to slow to a stop behind them will be waiting forever because the roads will never be cleared, and one by one they'll leave their vehicles there and go out on foot, and bit by bit the highways will be turned to a parking lot. Not only that, but if you're in a car that's in motion, you're now a target for people who are after gasoline. Now suppose you somehow make it to the wilderness. I live right near the Rocky Mountain foothills, and my pre-planned bug-out route takes me into the Rocky Mountains. Problem is, that's what tens of thousands of people will be doing as well. Other people will be doing the same thing, crowds and crowds and droves of them. I won't end up in a place with no other people, and other people are the main danger here. Even especially if I have things that they want. Not only that, but there will be hundreds, probably thousands of campfires, and no firemen to put out the wildfires that will ensue. So likely the whole of the Rocky Mountains will burn down with me in it. So say you want to really go for the gusto and do this right and do this thoroughly and hole up in a bunker. Well, that bunker has to have air ventilation. You can shut the front door, but you can't shut the air ventilation shaft. All someone has to do is come and fill in your air ventilation with dirt, and you will need to open that front door, and they'll be waiting for you at that point. So this is why even preppers will be effed up in any worst case scenario disaster. This is why I hope earnestly the apocalypse will never take place. Nonetheless, the only thing to do is keep prepping. Preppers will have an advantage over the unprepared. All of this only applies to the worst case scenario disasters and apocalypse. Disasters of a lesser severity can be prepared for. The only thing to do is keep on prepping.